What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the Rugby channel. And today we're going to be talking about what I think World Rugby's Nations Championship could look like and what it should really look like in my own view. So let's get into the video. Welcome back to another rugby video. Please make sure you go ahead and smash that like button to show your support for the channel. And if you are new, please go ahead and subscribe. We upload rugby videos every single week guaranteed. So please click the notification button so you don't miss out. Okay, so first up we have some blank groups, as you can see here. Now this is going to be the European League. So first of all, we're going to fill in these groups with the main Six Nations teams. So basically all the Six Nations teams are here, as you can see, but they are not allowed to be in the same group. So here we have England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, France and Italy, and then as you can see there is a blank group. So we'll get onto the blank group in a minute. It's done this way, that way then you have literally all big nations being able to play against smaller European teams to really boost the game in the rest of Europe. So then in the other grouping we'll fill in Georgia, because Georgia is the other biggest nation outside of the Six Nations. Therefore that is why they will get their own group, because really speaking then any team should want to play them because they're literally just below Six Nations level. Then we'll fill in the groups randomly, but with teams that don't play each other regularly. So as you can see here, we've got England, Romania, Czechia and Poland in one group. Scotland, Russia, Switzerland and Ukraine in another group. Ireland, Spain, Malta and Moldova in another group. Wales, Portugal, Croatia and Latvia in one. France, Belgium, Sweden and Luxembourg. Italy, Netherlands, Israel, Hungary, Georgia, Germany, Lithuania and Andorra. So these have been done at random, but like I said, they don't play each other regularly. That way then you are boosting rugby in those nations. So whether these games would be played at home to the smaller nations is a thing I haven't really worked out whether it would work that way. But this would be in place of the summer tours. I think by doing it this way then, because obviously everybody in Europe always wants to go abroad for their summer holidays, and by doing it this way it really works, because then you can fly off to that country and stay there and then also watch your home nation play against that nation. So that way it would really work, and that's why the Six Nations teams would be playing away in all their games. Whether or not that will be in a neutral ground, so for example you could have Ireland, Spain, Malta and Moldova, all that group being played only in Spain, so they all gather then in Spain to watch those games. I think that would work quite well, because obviously it would save a lot of money on flights for a lot of fans going back and forth. They could just go to one country that is hosting that group. So that is one possibility, or like one way of doing it. Same as like England could fly out to Romania, same as Poland and Czechia, they could all go to Romania and play all their games there. I think that would probably be the best way of doing it. So I think this way would really work. We will get on to the rest of the world in a minute. That is done differently, but as of Europe I would say this is the best way of doing it. Scrap the summer tours, and then that way then, like I said, people can generally afford to go watch these games in these countries because they're big holiday destinations here in the summer for Europe, and it would really work. And then it would put a lot more money into the game, I would say, and obviously the smaller nations then, it would get a lot more support from people. Yes, okay, like a lot of people would probably say France would absolutely thrash everybody in their group, and that is probably a fact. But those teams need game time against bigger nations in order for their support and their fan base to grow. And by doing it this way, I really feel like that would make them grow more. Like, for example, when your team finally reaches a World Cup, you're going to support them more than you do when they never reach a World Cup. So kind of that sort of scenario. So next up, then, we will move on to the rest of the world. So as you can see here, we have less groups. We have New Zealand in one, Australia in one, South Africa, Argentina, Japan and USA. This is done categorically for the places of the world. So as you can see, New Zealand obviously being at the bottom of the world, Australia being close to New Zealand but need their own group, South Africa on the other side, Argentina other side, Japan part of Asia, and then USA being on the other side as well. So by doing it this way, it saves a lot of money for flights. And then we will fill these groups in then to location wise. So as you can see, New Zealand have Fiji, Tonga and Samoa, because they are the close islands to them, and it would save a lot of money on flights. Then Australia have Sri Lanka and Malaysia. Yes, okay, they are small nations, and Australia would probably win literally 9.5 out of 10 every single time. but it's just the fact that these nations also need to be included. The way this would be working is in the nations that finish in the top 30 or top 40 will then automatically qualify to get into these groups. So as you can see here, that's why Sri Lanka and Malaysia need to be with Australia, because they are closer to Australia. So South Africa then have an African group, as you can see, with Namibia, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Uganda and Tunisia. So they would have to play quite a few games for that. Like I said, it would only be one game each time, but whether it would be at neutral ground, I don't know. Then you got Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay and Uruguay, all the South American ones there, so it would be pretty easy to schedule the games. Japan, Hong Kong, Korea and Philippines, they're all close by, so again, saving money for fans and everything on the flights. And then USA, Colombia, Canada, Mexico, the Cayman Islands and Trinidad and Tobago, they're the biggest kind of like league there, as you can see. But again, they're the closest to each other, so that's why it needs to be done that way. Obviously, so many nations qualifying inside that category, so that they need to be really grouped with the rest of the nations, otherwise it starts becoming more complex and more money needed. So this is the better way of doing it. So like I said, they need to be categorized in place order for the Southern Hemisphere and the rest of the world. That's just because it's going to cost too much money otherwise to fund, if this idea is to go ahead. So moving on then, what would happen when your country finishes in a certain place? So as you can see here, let's pretend this is what happens. England finished first in their place there. As you can see, same with Scotland. Let's just pretend all the top sides all finished to the top of their tables. That's what that green line would mean. So everybody that's finishing at the top of the table obviously are in a good place, money-wise and so on. This would then mean that they would get to pick from this category here. So as you can see, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa and Argentina all finished at the top of their groups. So that way then, say England, like I said, finished at the top of their group, they would then get to pick 3 teams out of this green line section here to play for their autumn tests. So most likely they would pick New Zealand, Australia and South Africa. So that would be entirely up to them who they would want to play. Or maybe it would be at random, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not making up the rules, I'm just trying to find some sort of way of doing this. So let's pretend they pick New Zealand, Australia and South Africa. And then the 2 boxes down below, as you can see there, which is the USA box and the Japan box, these 2 are compulsory games. So these would be the 2 teams. You would have to play at least one of these teams that finish top of their league. So they would then pick, or maybe it would be at random. Again, I don't know what the sort of section of stuff for that. But I think this is the only way it would really work. And then vice versa. So for example, let's say this was to happen this year, okay? So England finished top of their group. They pick New Zealand, Australia and South Africa. And then Japan and USA finish top of their group. They have to pick one of them. So let's say England pick Japan. So come in November now, England would play all these games. The following year then, it would work vice versa. So whoever finishes top of their pools in the Europe section would then go on to, New Zealand, say, finish top of their pool. They then get to pick who they want to come over and play against. So that's how it would work. I think it would be a good way of doing it. And obviously it's also quite complex to really explain what I mean by all this. But hopefully it's kind of easy to understand. It's not 100% sure whether this league will actually be made yet, or this tournament, or whatever you want to call it. But I really think this is the only way forward if it was to go ahead. Otherwise, it would just get really stupid and there'd be no point of a World Cup. So by doing it this way, like I said, it would decide who's playing who, and obviously for the following year, and then vice versa. So I think it would work. It would be good to promote the game throughout all these little nations. Like for example, imagine if, I don't know, let's say Chile managed to beat Brazil and they topped the group, and they played Argentina and they topped the group again. Chile would then be one of the teams that somebody would have to pick. So then Chile would be touring then, funded by World Rugby or whatever, I don't know. And I think it would really, really promote the game in its country. So I think it's a good thing, a definite good thing if it was done this way. Okay guys, without further ado, that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Please make sure you go ahead and smash the like button down below to show your support. Obviously, the amount of work I did for this, it took me quite a while, a good, 2 hours, I think it was around that, obviously to make the graphics and try and work out how to do it. So yeah, please make sure you go and smash the like button to show your support. Let me know in the comment section as well, do you think this would be a good thing? Take it from a point of view, say for example, if you are living in Europe and you're watching this video, would you generally more likely to go watch your nation play if it was in a country nearby and it was a cheap flight? Would you more likely to go watch him that way? This is why I'm trying to work it. It's the same as if you're down in the category of the rest of the world and your nation is playing, for example, you're New Zealand, and you're playing Tonga, Samoa, and Fiji, all in one back-to-back tournament. Surely you're very, very likely you're going to want to go and watch that. So that's why I really did it, and that's why I thought it would work and make so much more sense this way. So let me know in the comment section what you think of it. If it was like this, would you like to see it happen? Let me know. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe as well. We do loads of rugby videos just like this, covering everything to do with rugby, so like rugby video games, everything, you name it, we do it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Andrew. I will see you in another video. Peace out, guys.